Call the council meeting to order. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance. Brett Hales will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Looks like we're all standing. Repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Next order of business, council meeting minutes, March 3rd, 2020. Do I have any additions or deletions?
No, would you like a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I'll second. Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Okay, next we have a special announcement, and I'll start, and then the mayor and Joy Middleton will follow me. As you know, we have a bit of a situation going on in the world. We're glad you're here watching us live on video, live or on video in this meeting. I'd like to assure you that Murray City is doing all it can to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus. We urge you to use common sense approach to preventing illness. Wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your face. Practice 6-foot social distance rule. If you have been exposed to someone who has tested positive for the virus, please self-quarantine for 14 days. If you've traveled outside the U.S., depending on the country, you may also need self-quarantine. Those countries are China, Iran, and most of Europe. If you develop a fever, cough, or have difficulty breathing, please contact your healthcare provider for medical advice. And as I said in the last meeting, Murray has the best first responders in the world. We have Class A healthcare in Murray City. Take care of yourselves and help us take care of them so they can take care of you. For the council meeting, during the meeting, if you want to make comments during the citizens comment period or online in the public hearing, you can email your comments to jlopez@murray.utah.gov. These comments need to be less than 3 minutes, including your name and contact information, and they will be read into the record. And also, for those here in the meeting that have come to the meeting, feel free, once you have stated your purpose, if you're here to testify, feel free to leave. The less contact we have with each other, unfortunately, the better. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, my message to the citizens of Murray tonight is this is not a time for panic or fear. We're very concerned about this outbreak tonight, and I want to outline some of the precautions and measures that we've taken and are taking as a city. The COVID-19 situation is very fluid, as you know, and constantly changing, and there is so much information out there. It's being blasted to the public through news outlets, social media, state and local websites, and so forth. So much that it's becoming a challenge to even keep up with it. I urge everyone to stay informed, but caution you to get your information from reliable sources such as Salt Lake County Health Department, Utah State Health Department, Centers for Disease Control, or CDC. We don't claim to be public health experts, and we rely heavily on those who are for credible information. Decisions that we're making as a city are made in correlation or in accordance with county and state health officials. On Friday, March 13th, I issued a proclamation declaring a state of local emergency in Murray City. A state of emergency had been declared for the state of Utah by the governor, as well as for Salt Lake County by Mayor Wilson on March 6th. The timing of our declaration correlated with the decision of the school district of the Murray School District to close their schools, as well as the closure of multiple Salt Lake County facilities. The purpose of the declaration in a nutshell is to empower the mayor to take extraordinary measures for protecting life and property, such as imposing curfews or other measures, while providing some limited immunity to public employees and our city for actions during an emergency. The duration of the emergency declaration is undetermined. However, in order to extend beyond 30 days, it must be authorized by the city council. Many people have asked what the city is doing to be prepared, and I'll have our emergency manager, Assistant Fire Chief Joey Middleman, update us in a moment. City facilities that have been temporarily suspended include our library, senior recreation center, the recreation center in Murray Park, and all of our sports and recreation programs are suspended. We have canceled the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting scheduled for this Thursday, but we'll have the ability to conduct a remote public hearing by the April 2nd meeting. We are still processing passport applications, but will now do them only by appointment. Even though the library is closed, they are encouraging the use of its digital library. Staff is also providing a hold pickup service where patrons park in a specified stall and call the number on the posted instructions. The item will be brought to the curbside in a bag, which the patron can retrieve once the employee has re-entered the building. Most of our employee travel has been postponed or canceled. Much of that is due to the cancellation of conferences or other events. Because of the closure of facilities, part-time employees, including crossing guards, library employees, and recreation employees, are being impacted. We are currently keeping all full-time employees working, and all department directors are evaluating what employees can work from home as it becomes necessary. We currently have no plans to shorten the hours of City Hall or other city facilities, but are constantly reevaluating. The Park Center staff is attempting to get their usual summer cleaning done a few months early in hopes of avoiding a week-long closure in August, when they usually do their cleaning. Beginning tomorrow, the Senior Recreation Center will be serving sack lunches on Tuesdays through Friday. The center has provided a phone number for patrons to call and order and pay for their lunch the day prior, and the sack lunch will be delivered to the patron's car in front of the building. We'll now hear from Assistant Fire Chief Joey Middleman, who is our City Emergency Management Officer, who will address some of the preparations and coordination issues. Chief.
Thanks, Mayor and City Council, and also especially those out there listening, the citizens. I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot of questions that are going through your mind about you watch on TV, the staff, and so forth. It's kind of one of those times, as the mayor said, can be scary. But the important thing is we're being led by an incredible staff and by an incredible, you could say, commander-in-chief, where the mayor not only has his mayor experience, but I feel confident in our EOC staff and our command just operating. That is the mayor and his staff being able to lead us forward and to make some tough decisions that are coming up. If you look at the way that we're organized as an EOC, we've activated in really 3 different separate levels that you guys should understand. The first level is on the state level, and you could say there's one level above that, which is our Region 8 level, but we're not going to go that deep into the federal area. But we're activated on the state level, and that is where the governor's put his team, and a lot of our citizens see that. Below that level, our county government, Mayor Wilson, Gary Edwards, and then Clint Minkham are at the helm of that command staff, and they're pushing out through their information on a couple of different avenues to our local cities that are working together to be able to develop our plans and response and tracking and procedures that we follow for our EMS workers, for our public safety workers in both police and fire, and so on. With that, we have now a phone call that we're on every single morning at 9 a.m. that we call in, we get updates, a brief. We also have what we call a SIT report. And those SIT reports are getting us constant updates of where the virus is spreading and then also the other impacts that it's having. I would imagine you guys have large concerns about both the virus and the economic impacts, and I believe we're starting to now address a little bit more of those economic impacts on a statewide level, as you guys are seeing a little bit more on the state level. We'll be working more towards that as time goes on the city level, although we are very much on a city level for that response. It's not like we have bailout plans or anything like that as an EOC. The city, as you guys are well aware of, isn't funded to do such things. Kind of going more a little bit into it, I want to push out a couple of education messages while I have the microphone. One is for United Way out there. The United Way, I've given the council members a flyer, but also they have it in their email. And those of you guys that are listening, if you can look up online 211, they have a lot of resources that a lot of people aren't aware of. The common thing that I've heard is, what is 211? And it's a public information, as you guys can push out, for housing, for food, for assistance, for mental help. And that's what I want to reach out today as an EOC and as a fire department and public safety is, we understand these are hard times. Have a support network around you. Even though we're talking 6-foot distancing rules, it's very important right now that you have that support network that you can go to, because oftentimes in hard economic times, we struggle, both mentally, physically, getting outdoors. That's part of our mental health. And so I want to reach out and say, there's resources out there for you. Reach out and know what they are. The second part of that is the neighbor helping neighbor. I want to really stress those citizens as well as the council members. If you're listening to me, please pass the word. You each have a neighbor that is willing to help you out, whether it be going to the grocery store, borrowing a roll of toilet paper, for as silly as that might be. I promise you, your neighbors in Utah, and especially in Murray City, are willing to help you out. We see this on a daily basis of emergencies, on whether it be a heart attack or somebody get hit on the road, that people are willing to help other people. I want to stress that. That is still there. And we need to be texting our friends. We need to be checking with our neighbors. And that is one of the most important things that we can emphasize as a EOC in Murray City and as we reach out. This isn't like an earthquake where we have a CERT response and we respond out with people to help you with your house or a collapse. It is a text, just a way that you can help your neighbor out. It might be that they're not comfortable going to the store and you can pick up their groceries for them. So I want you guys to remember that. Other than that, a couple of things, as the mayor mentioned about the senior center. Remember connecting with your schools for the kids as well as aging services. They have a lot of resources. So with that, I'll turn the time back over to the mayor unless anybody has any questions for me or any concerns. Okay,
Any
thank
questions?
you.
Just a big thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Chief. Now, that's what we've been doing to prepare some of the things, some of the highlights, I should say. Now I would like to ask the public to take a moment and consider, what are you doing to prepare to combat this pandemic? And I want to emphasize the importance and reiterate what Chief Middleman just said, the importance of self-reliance and personal preparedness. This is a time that we all need to reach out to our friends and our neighbors. It's a time to share resources and helping hands. I also have a serious concern, as all of you do, concerning the impact of this situation on our economy. I urge you all to continue to support our local businesses as possible, especially small businesses. We're all going to be impacted financially in one way or another. The governor announced this afternoon that all counties in Utah have been approved for SBA, or Small Business Administration assistance. So further information about that assistance is forthcoming from the governor's office. So I want to conclude where I started, and that is that this is not a time to panic. It's not a time to fear. It's a time to be vigilant in doing all that we can to help slow down the curve of growth. I encourage you to avoid buying more than what's necessary. of supplies and food in order to help avoid the fear and uneasiness that's caused by empty shelves. Finally, I reiterate the need to stay informed. We will constantly be posting updates on our social media outlets, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Does anyone have any questions? Rosalba?
Good.
Thank you. I know if we could just beat this with toilet paper, we'd probably be in good shape. But
We'd be in such good shape. Can I ask a question? Sorry, I was giving Rosalba a chance. Sorry, I have to read my own handwriting, which is its own challenge. Has there been any conversations with the hospital and pairing with the city as they prepare?
yes, we have been in contact with the hospital on a couple of different levels. And Chief Middleman, do you want to comment further on that?
So, I'll wait so it's recorded. On the hospital level, they also have an emergency manager, Kristen, that's assigned to that. And so we communicate with her as well as she's on our county base. The hospital, even though we would love if they would just only serve Murray, they serve a larger basis.
Yeah.
And so we have been in contact. Everything that they're doing, we're usually briefed on and then updated, especially where as the large original COVID-19, the concern was, hey, we're bringing a patient off of the cruise ship, which that was an easy take. They have facilities that are top of the line, and they're bringing in more than they ever have for this. So
I feel we're really lucky to have them, yes, in our community. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So
I have one question that might be more specific to the mayor about committees and boards. Do you know if we have so many wonderful volunteers on our committees and boards. Are they being able to hold those remotely? Are they pausing activity briefly, being given opportunities to not come in for those?
That's a great question, and I haven't been monitoring those agendas. Has anyone on our staff? We'll have to check that.
Okay, just to make sure that they
It's a great question.
are
Thank you.
able to do that and still participate, because I know it's always a work of passion for them and enthusiasm.
Yeah, spoken by experience.
I miss my arts advisory board. This is the best, but that was so fun. Yeah,
can we maybe put a shout out to the boards if they are listening to this on that
absolutely,
concern?
yeah.
Remember your technology. Just like this council meeting has taken place, if you're not still continuing with some of that regular business, I would strongly encourage you guys as an EOC. Now's a great time to test our technology out and try this stuff out. There's no better drill than right now for technology. So
I have a
I
question.
will mention too that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just a real quick question. Are they doing testing at IMC? Do you know how they're doing that? Are they?
I can tell you.
So
They are doing curbside. Sorry, they're doing curbside at various
Yeah, that's
locations throughout each. What is it? Different centers. So there's one at the Tosh Building. There's different sites with IHC that is doing that.
I can maybe help push out a public message there as well.
Okay, that would be good. I know up at the university they're doing mobile sites and they have several testing areas. I was just wondering if they're doing the same thing at IMC. It sounds like they are.
And that's actually good to hear because we were informed this morning that there's a severe shortage of test kits and that there may not even be available right now. So I'm glad to hear that they do have some. This changes so fast.
I know, it's true.
So one thing that I'll push out on that testing for that is the state has kits. They're pushing out and they're expanding this on the state level on the EOC response. However, our system is quickly overrun by maybe a concerned patron, which we all are, that maybe have minor symptoms. Don't be disheartened by our health system if you pull up and you don't meet the testing criteria that they're going with, because that testing criteria, the EOCs and the CDC of that section is really trying to refine to hit the most critical of the population to get those testing numbers. Does that make sense on that? To not,
It does.
we really need to be cognizant as citizens, as a city, that even though I would like to maybe be tested every day, say our firefighters, they're going in and out of people's homes. We're not planning on testing them every day, and that's a weak link if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more symptom-based for that. It's not like a blood sugar test where you just take it and then you get an instant result. Even the test would be a 24 to 48 hour response back. Even the President of the United States didn't have a instant 1 hour result come back to him. Is that so?
Yes.
There's
That's,
some gaps.
yeah.
So just be aware.
Thank you.
Just one other comment, if I may. We, speaking of the technology, we held our weekly staff meeting, department head meeting this morning, over video conferencing from everyone from their own office to give it a test run, and it worked really well. There were a few hiccups, a few lessons that we learned that we can do better, but it was a very good exercise as we move forward and perhaps have more of these kinds of meetings.
Any other
you.
questions? Okay, thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank the mayor and our first responders, the mayor and his staff, for responding so quickly to this. And our first responders, like I said, we've got the best in the world. Help us take care of them, and they'll take care of us. As we move on, we have special recognition. Murray City Council Employee of the Month, Police Officer Kenny Brass, Brett Hales, and Chief Burnett.
Come on up, Kenny and Chief. How you doing? Good. How you doing? I'm doing good. This is Kenny Bass. Kenny's been with our city for 25 years. Is that correct? Just about. Yep. 25 years. He looks like he's 35, so he's started at age 10. But that's a compliment, by the way. You've had that your whole life. I've known Kenny for a long time. His son and my son went to school together, and I went to school with a Kenny Bass, and I guarantee you've had a lot of people say, "Are you the Kenny Bass from Cypress?" Cypress High? The Kenny I know is about 6'4", but and you're pretty close to that. But anyway, we're excited to be able to do this. Kenny has been a major instrument for Murray City and does a lot of our PR, and you see him on TV, and he does a great job. He's very smooth and knows how to talk to the media, and I've always been impressed with that for years, Kenny. And so we were really excited when Chief Burnett presented your name, and so we're going to let Chief Burnett do most of the talking, but we'll go ahead and give you the certificate that we have for you, Kenny. And there you go. You bet. And then most important is this $50 Visa gift card, so don't let Ryan get that. All right, well, I'd give you a big hug, to be honest, but I'll just give you a virtual hug. Yeah. But thank you so much for all you do for the city. We, as a council, really appreciate all you do. Thank you. Thank you. 6 feet, please.
Keep that distance. Now, this is one that I was excited to present to you as our Employee of the Month. I've known Kenny the whole 25, excuse me, the whole 25 years he's worked here, because I've only been here 23. He came on as a reserve, worked on my patrol shift, and we hired him as an officer. And he's throughout his career, there's been a lot of things he's done. He's been a detective 2 different times. There's a time limit. He did his stint in detectives, went back out in patrol, came back in detectives, has worked for the last several years as one of our traffic officers riding motorcycles and taking care of the school zones and any traffic issues and community service issues that you have. Kenny's one of those guys that's out there all the time. And he's been a phenomenal asset as our public information officer. And he's been doing that for quite a while. He has a great relationship with the media and with the public, and that helps the city and the city's image, and helps us when we need to get information out or to get the right information out. When they have somebody that they respect and they know they can call and they're going to get the truth from and we'll work with them. It's always good, and Kenny's had that relationship. So we're grateful he's still here, and for as long as he's here, we keep using him. And you know, you get a good horse, you ride him till he drops. So he's he's still going. So congratulations.
Come on, you're used to the media. Come on up and just say.
Well, I appreciate it. It's a nice honor to have the chief, what he said, and then, Councilman Hales to what you said. I've enjoyed working here, 25 years, and with all of you, and it's, don't know how much longer, I guess, until the chief beats me and I'm totally done, but whenever that happens, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for everything you all do. Okay, next is consider a resolution of the mayor and municipal council of Murray City, Utah, in support of the Murray Exchange Club by recognizing and declaring April 2020 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Sherry. And the mayor, yeah.
Come on up, Sherry. Before I read this, I'd like to just take a minute and recognize the good things that the Exchange Club does for the community. And so thank you, not just for this, but for everything the Exchange Club does.
Thanks for being partners with us.
So this is a joint resolution of the mayor and municipal council of Murray City, Utah, in support of the Murray Exchange Club in recognizing and declaring April 2020 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Murray's greatest asset is our children. All children deserve to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment to assure they reach their full potential. Whereas child abuse is a serious and growing problem affecting over 3 million of our nation's children annually, and with over 29,000 cases of child abuse and neglect reported statewide, and 210 cases right here in our city. And whereas this societal malignancy called child abuse respects no racial, religious, socioeconomic, or geographic boundaries, and in fact has been declared a national emergency. And whereas the National Exchange Club has adopted this cause as its national project and is supporting parent aid programs, parenting classes, educational programs, and community service activities, and is helping to make significant progress in stopping this crime against families and children. And whereas the Murray Exchange Club members are active and positive participants in the city of Murray in accordance with the standards of the National Exchange Club. And whereas the Murray Exchange Club is anxious and appreciative to share this worthwhile cause and opportunity with Murray City. Now therefore, as the Mayor and Murray City Municipal Council, we hereby resolve to recognize and declare April 2020 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we urge all citizens to use this time to better understand, recognize, and respond to this grievous problem. And be it further resolved that in support of the Murray Exchange Club and this worthwhile cause, Murray City will fly the Child Abuse Prevention flag in front of City Hall under our flags from April 1st through April 30th. To promote the awareness of child abuse prevention, the Exchange Club will host a gathering in front of City Hall on Monday, March 30th, 2020, at 6:30 p.m. to kick off their month-long effort by tying 210 blue ribbons on the trees and placing 210 blue and silver pinwheels in the grass and flower beds. Mostly the flower beds, right? Representing the number of the all-encompassing cases of child abuse and neglect. Please join us, and I'll comment right now that I was going to be out of town, but with the changes in travel, I'll be here for that. So, yeah. We're appreciative of the work, care, and concern that our victim advocates, police and detectives put forth in dealing with these tough cases. It is our hope that these numbers will decrease as families develop healthy, caring, nurturing, and loving friendships. And be it still further resolved, we commend the Murray Exchange Club for their continued efforts in helping families break free of this vicious cycle of child abuse. Our nation's greatest asset is our children. All children deserve to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment to assure they reach their full potential. And that is our resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. Sherry, do you want to speak?
You want to pass it first? Or?
Do you want, would you like a
Yeah, are
motion?
you ready for a motion? Or I am, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's see before you want to speak.
Okay, I will make a motion to adopt a joint resolution of the mayor and the municipal council of Murray City, Utah, in support of the Murray Exchange Club by recognizing and declaring April 2020 as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
I'll second that.
Aye.
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 Thank you. If I could vote, I'd say aye. But we'd love to hear some words from you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you to speak all night, Sherry.
Thank you all so much for sharing this moment with us too. And normally we would invite everyone to come out on March 30th and plant pinwheels with us. I think if we have 10 or under, we can stay six, however many feet apart. Hopefully by that time, life will calm down. Who knows? But we will. Either way, the Exchange Club members and family members and city council will be out planting pinwheels. So you will all be able to educate the neighbors as you'll understand why those are out. And one of the things that is said to be these numbers are the physical numbers, and they say you times these by at least 3 by the cases that weren't reported and that have never been reported. So we're status quo to what we were last year. And, 1 is too many. So the Exchange Club is about their main foundation is prevention of child abuse, also Americanism and service to the community. And we meet here on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month, so anybody is welcome to join us. And I just wanted to add, we have a youth group, our Murray Youth Excel is what it's called, and they have been working with the online community, Murray Community Online, for any of the needs that need to be answered. Some of the people were saying, I can't get, curbside help or whatever, and we're responding to them one-on-one. Just tell us what you need, and we'll get it to your door. So our youth group has been working with that, and they're also our Murray Youth Government, so they wear 2 hats. So they've been in the middle of that. We're also running a blood drive Saturday at the Murray Park. We're bringing the bus out, so we're grateful for Murray to stand behind us. I work for Red Cross on the side, and we got the numbers today that we've lost 86,000 units. I have been working with IMC Hospital, and they are canceling all surgeries except for emergencies. So donating blood is a good thing right now, and we hope that nobody's going to need it, but we know that IMC needs it. And within 4 days, we're going to have it'll be put to good use. So if anybody can come over from 8 to 2, we're going to have the bus over at the park. And we also have, Murray has a couple of other drives going in the next few weeks too to support the need. We're with all the cancellations from the high schools and the colleges, we have people that are letting us come out and try and make up for that. So we're grateful for Murray to be such great partners on that side too. So Exchange Club is trying to help and on all avenues. So thank you for accepting us and being partners with us. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for the good work you do.
Can I just say, I just want to say thank you for raising awareness about such an important issue. And I still have a bag of pinwheels in my garage, so I'll bring them out so we can put them out again.
Thank you, Sherry.
Okay, next we'll go to citizen comments. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name, city of residence, and fill out the required form. Now, we're doing this online as well, so first we'll see if anybody here wants to speak in citizen comments. Not seeing any. I have 2 that I'll read. Okay, first is good evening. My name is Joe Silverzwig, a Murray resident. I want to thank the Council of Mayor and the city staff for their continued hard work to keep things running in this unique and challenging time. The sense of normalcy that I felt as the street sweeper rolled by my window this AM was a welcome relief from the weeks that have been anything but normal. I want to ask Murray to please adopt an assertive and decisive approach to the growing crisis we're facing with an enemy that is both deadly and sneaky. Citizens who feel healthy can be carriers, and many citizens are not taking the coronavirus threat 19 seriously. Social media, trusted elected officials, and news networks continue to tell different stories about this threat. And some have chosen to downplay the realities, leading to irresponsible behavior by many. A dramatic shortage of testing has left us feeling around in the dark and without good understanding of where or how this contagion is spreading. Our medical professionals, however, are in lockstep agreement that the COVID-19 is a catastrophic threat to our community, and we must trust that judgment. Mayor Camp, council members, please have the courage to act before our governments with more urgency and severity. If our efforts are to contain this pandemic are successful, it may seem as if it's overreacting, but if you aren't willing to risk looking hasty, Murray could become the epicenter of an unthinkable tragedy. I feel compelled to follow up this warning with a sincere offer to aid you. I have a skill set that can be useful. I currently work building partnerships between governments, nonprofits, community organizations, and corporations to achieve more together. I'm a former assistant attorney general and know how governments work. I am a committed partner and part of this community. I imagine this moment has left you stretched thin and concerned for the well-being of your community, family, and economy. If there's anything I can do, please ask. And I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you, Mayor, so you have his contact information.
I actually have it.
Oh, okay. Good enough. Thanks, Mayor. Okay, my name is Alexander, and I'm going to murder this, so I'll spell it Temsma. I live in District 1, Haycat. I live at 10 West Miller Street, Murray, Utah. Being relatively recent transplant to Murray, I do not have any sentimental attachment to the now demolished Mount Vernon Academy. However, there are many citizens who are upset about this outcome. Whenever a physical reminder of history is lost, regardless of the reason, it is incumbent on all to preserve that history in our collective memory. If the owner of the land has no plans to reuse the materials from the building, I think it would be worthwhile to repurpose the brick, i.e. engrave the bricks and offer them to citizens as a memento, use them to build a small historical marker, use them to build a small walkway or feature in the new City Hall downtown development. Let me have them so I can build a wood-fired pizza oven in my backyard, etc. I would like the council to respond and indicate if this is a reasonable idea that they will consider. Thank you. Be safe. It isn't on the agenda. We can't really respond to it, but I will give it to the proper department heads and see what we can do to make this happen. Thank you. Do you have any others, Jan? Okay, with that, is there anybody in the audience? Nobody in the audience. We'll close citizen comments and move on to the public hearings. Let's see, staff and sponsor presentations to the public and public comment prior to council action on the following matters. First, consider an ordinance related to land use, amend the zoning map for the property located at 6271 South 9th East, Murray, Utah. From A1 agriculture to R18 low density residential zoning district. Melinda and Jared Cameron, applicant.
Thank you. Yes, you mentioned the address of this property is 6271 South 900 East. The applicant is seeking to rezone from A1, an agricultural use, to R18, which is a residential use. This is an aerial shot of the property. You can see it's surrounded, it's got Wheeler Farm to the south, some residential properties to the east. I always have to check my directions. And then across the street we have some commercial development, but it's mostly residential. This shows the current zoning, depicting that it's in the agricultural zone. I do want to point out that a residential unit is allowed in the agricultural zone as well as the zone, the R18, that's being requested to change that too. So this shows the future land use map, and the intent of this property the change to go from R18 is still low density residential, which is what the future land use map shows there. The item was held at a public hearing on January 16th with the Planning Commission meeting. There were several public comments that were received that evening. Most of the individuals there had questions about what the future uses of the property entailed. I mentioned earlier, agricultural is a little more flexible in uses. You can have residential unit on that property with the agricultural use. With the change to R18, you can also have residential uses. So we communicated that to those who were there. The Planning Commission voted 5-0 to send a positive recommendation to the City Council for the zone map amendment. That's what we're recommending as well, that the City Council approve the zone map amendment from from A1 to the R18, single family low density residential. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you, Melinda. Anyone here from the public? Well, first, let's see, is the applicant here?
I think everything that Melinda said. Oh, my name is Greg Simonson, and I'm a land use attorney. I don't think this is any big controversy, but I've been helping Mr. Cameron with the development on his property, and I think that everything that Melinda has said is accurate, and so I don't really have much to add. I would just say that we really appreciate the planning department. I think we met with Jared at least on 3 occasions, and they've been very, very helpful. So I'm just here to answer any questions you may have about it. Otherwise, I'll just sit down.
Any questions? Rosalba?
I'm good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Any member of the public here to speak on this? Please come up, give your name and your address.
I will do some social distancing from the microphone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mike Cameron is my name, and I live on 1014 Wheeler Farm Cove, which is one of the 7 homes in the development that joins the property just to the east that was presented. I wear before I tell you the hats that I wear, I want to just say a couple of unrelated comments to the mayor's presentation. Sorry, I know it's deviating a little bit, but I personally serve as the president of a LDS congregation that is in Murray. We have about 2,500 members that live in your community, most of which are, in the high-risk category, 60 and above, most of the 2,500. My wife and I also own a business that's headquartered in Murray. We own Christofferson Business Travel, and we have over 100 employees that come to work every day in Murray. We're also residents of Murray ourselves. We have 3 children that have children that are our grandchildren that either live in Murray or go to Murray schools. We are counting on you guys to take care of my congregation, my employees, my family, my children, and thank you. It was worth being here today just to hear from the mayor and the chief of police and the fire chief. Thank you. I feel like we're in good hands. With regards to the property, I wear two hats. One is that I'm the resident in a home that adjoins it. The other is I'm the father of Jared Cameron. And I just want to add my support to the zoning amendment.
Thank you. Would you fill out that form, sir? Anyone else? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to the council. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I'll move to approve the ordinance amending section 17.140.020. I'm on the wrong one, excuse me. I move to approve the ordinance related to the land use, amends the zoning map for the property located at 6271 South, 900 East, Murray City, Utah, from A1 agriculture to R18 low density residential zoning district.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes. We'll move to the next. Feel free, if your business is done, feel free to decongregate. Okay, next is consider an ordinance amending section 17-140-020 of the Murray City Municipal Code related to allowing twin homes as a permitted use of a residential neighborhood business zoning district. Jared Hall, Melinda Greenwood presenting, Brad Reynolds applicant.
Thank you. Appreciate the chance to speak to you all again tonight. So for the public and as a refresher for you guys from before as a council, this is a text amendment request particular to the R&B zone. That's section 17.1.4140 of the zoning code. The R&B stands for residential neighborhood business. It was implemented a number of years ago by the city to buffer large, stable residential neighborhoods from high traffic streets like 9th East and Winchester Street that you can see on the map here. The section of the map you're looking at is from the future land use map in the general plan. So it looks like zoning. This is not the actual zoning, but that pink color that you see is indicative of residential business as a category. That tells us basically as staff when we look at this map, if properties in those colored zones want to rezone to something like residential neighborhood business, we try to support that. It is kind of a limited area of the city. You're looking at most of the land in the city that is slated for residential neighborhood business, for R&B. There are a couple of little outliers, but this is 99% of it right here in this slide, just at the south end of the city. A lot of those properties have not been rezoned to R&B. They're slated for it, and we support rezoning them, but they haven't necessarily all been rezoned to it yet. Recently, Brad Reynolds Construction rezoned several properties together from R18 to R&B in that area there in the middle red square. And that brings us to where we're talking about permitted uses. So the text amendment here is to add a permitted use for twin homes to that R&B zone. Most of the uses are light-duty commercial uses, like offices for dentists. Yeah, we have some optometrists and things like that that kind of empty out at 5 o'clock. But we do have 2 residential uses as permitted uses in the R&B zone, single-family homes and duplexes currently. There is a distinction in our code between duplexes and twin homes, and the amendment that Mr. Reynolds has requested is to add the twin home category as well, so that not only would you have a permitted use for duplexes in the R&B zone, but you could also do twin homes. So the distinction between a twin home and a duplex, and the reason it's important, is that a duplex in the R&B zone can be on a 10,000 square foot lot, and you basically have 2 dwelling units as a part of one building. That's the only available ownership of that structure as a single person. So you have 2 units, but a single property that can be owned. In a twin home, you have the exact same situation, 10,000 square feet and 2 units, but those 2 units are separated and can be owned individually. And without a lot of further explanation, that is the basic difference that's proposed here. We would add this simple category that would create the same physical situation, 2 units and a piece of property, but those properties could be individually owned. That allows Mr. Reynolds or someone like him on other properties to invest more in the buildings that he builds and to allow ownership of those individual units as opposed to one investor owning 2 property or two dwelling units on a single property. So as a staff and as Planning Commission, we looked at this and said in other areas of the zone and other places in the city where this could still happen in the R&B zone, are we okay with these kind of units going in as twin homes instead of duplexes? And the answer was kind of a, not to put too fine a point on it, but a resounding yes. These are creating an opportunity for ownership, and we think that's a good thing. So we're supported it as staff. The Planning Commission voted 4-0 to forward that recommendation to the City Council, and staff is supporting that recommendation as well. It is specific language that only applies to the R&B zone, but will allow these twin homes as permitted uses as well. Do you have any questions for staff at this point?
Any questions?
Just a comment.
Sure.
Thank you. You've been very thorough with this, and so I understand it quite well and do appreciate the information. So thank you, Jared.
Great. One day we'll talk about townhomes and condos too. It's almost as fun a discussion.
Right. I'll look forward to that.
Mr. Reynolds, are you here?
Hi, Brad Reynolds, 2500 East Haven Lane. I appreciate the City Council looking at this text amendment, our application, and reviewing it. I also want to say at this time that how much we appreciate the planning staff here at Murray City. We work with a lot of cities, and they have been so prompt and helpful in trying to assist us to come up with different plans to try and make this property work. So our accolades to the whole entire planning staff. They've truly been amazing. Also, I don't want to be too repetitive because I know Jared he was very thorough in explaining what we're trying to do. I think along with that, I'd just like to point out the way that the current zone is, and it's a little confusing between a duplex and a twin home. I must admit, a lot of people associate the two of them to be the same thing, which I think in many cases I do as well. And I think the biggest difference, if the City Council did not approve this text amendment, we would have mostly all investor duplexes. And so you'd have a lot less expensive units. They would not be owner occupied. And I think with the meetings and the discussions that we've had in past Planning Commission and City Council meetings, the neighbors are looking for a owner occupied unit. And if we were able to adapt this text amendment, we would have a lot nicer unit. It would be more customized, a higher price point, and they would be owner occupied for the most part. I think almost all of them would. So we think this would be a big benefit for the neighborhood as well as the city, and would still maintain the same setbacks, the 25-foot front yard, the 25-foot rear yard, the minimum 8-foot side yard. So we look at it and we say, we can't see any negative in adapting this text amendment, and we think it would be a real benefit for everyone. Any questions that I can answer?
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll open this up for public hearing. Does anyone here want to speak to this? Seeing none, we'll close have we got anything online, Jan? No. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Looking for a motion.
I will move to adopt the ordinance amending section 17.140.020 of the Murray City Municipal Code related to allowing twin homes as a permitted use in the residential neighborhood business zone district.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Having moved and seconded, Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Okay, next order of business, consider an ordinance amending the city fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. Brenda Moore.
Okay, so I have a budget opening for the 1920 budget in front of you. I'll just quickly go through the items. We instituted a career ladder in the court system, and their budget is very tight, so I need $3,000 to pay those people the appropriate salary. The Alcohol and Drug-Free Committee of Utah awarded the police $5,000 for body cameras and or car cameras, so I have want to add the grant revenue and increase the police small equipment. The Building Inspection Division have been handling a higher than usual number of plan reviews. Structural reviews need to be sent outside the city. Their professional services budget needs to be increased by $50,000 with the corresponding increase in building permit and plan check revenues, because whenever we're sending something out, we're receiving revenue for that. A police car was in an accident and was totaled. We received $42,925 from the insurance company. I'm requesting an increase in the Capital Projects Fund police sale of fixed assets revenue and the police equipment to purchase a new vehicle. And then the Parkway Golf Fund trades non-prime tee times for their online reservation system. That an accounting change was made after we created the current budget, so we need to add $20,000 in greens fee revenue to be offset by $20,000 for the 4UP software. I have also at the last minute, after making a realization that we should have sold bonds or were intending to sell bonds for the new city hall in February, that we are running out of the initial, I think it was $1.2 million we had budgeted for architects and various other costs. So I am wanting to add $500,000 to the City Hall project. I put in $250,000 for the demolition and site prep. It probably is less than that. If we don't spend it, it will just roll back into reserves. And then about $250,000 for the architect and other related items that could come up. As soon as we sell the bonds, we can reimburse ourselves and use the bond proceeds and the municipal building authority to pick up these costs. But until that point, the architects are still working and we still need to pay them. And hopefully that the last contract we're waiting to be signed will get signed and we can get the bonds sold. So we can move forward with this. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
I just want to thank you for answering all the questions on the first few items that we talked about previously at Committee of the Whole. We were able to kind of fly through them because we spent so much time talking about them previously and getting them explained, so thank you for that. For the one tacked on just for this new City Hall, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean about selling the bond and where the money is coming from kind of in the meantime?
So what happens when you sell a bond is that we would have had a budget opening, which we haven't had yet because we haven't sold the bond, that would basically put, let's just go with round figures, $30 million in bond proceeds that we have received, so that's revenue, and then we would have $30 million in an expense account to build the building. We didn't do that yet. So right now, we're just adding a little more in our capital projects to continue the pre-work until we can sell those bonds, and then we can work out the system for the municipal building authority to reimburse the city for this $500,000 or whatever we determine we need to get reimbursed for, what we've actually spent. I did add one more thing to the budget opening. It's a little paragraph because I am an eternal optimist that our revenues are going to keep coming in and that we are not going to spend all our money, and we are going to have extra fund balance than the state allows at the end of the year. This allows me to adjust the budget and to transfer that money to the capital projects fund so we stay below the state maximum allowed. If it's not in there, then I get written up for not having budget for doing something. I have a choice.
Too much.
Be overbalance or not have a budget line. So that language allows me to fix that problem.
And if the extra money isn't there, is there another process you have to do, or it just sort of
Nope.
neutral?
Nope, it's neutral.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. I'll open it up for public comment. Is there anyone here that wants to comment on this? Seeing none, I'll close that and look for a motion.
I'll move to approve the ordinance amending the city fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
I'll second.
Having been moved and seconded, Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, we'll move on to business items. Consider approval of a proposed revision to the Murray City Council travel policy. Janet?
Thank you. In our workshop about a month ago, we went over revisions to the City Council travel policy. We had had no revisions since 2013, so there are a few changes we needed to make. There were several changes under conferences pre-approved for attendance by council members, and we made changes to who would attend and what budget the monies would come from. We also made some changes under the travel arrangements and the mileage and per diem, where we would use the GSA, which is the USA General Services Administration fund amounts for those items. And then we deleted meal expense for day trips within 100 miles of the city. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
No, we had a good discussion, so I think we understand it. I'm ready to make a motion if that's what you'd like.
All right, thanks, Jan. Yes.
All right, I will move approval of the proposed revisions to the Murray City Council travel policy.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, last, consider a resolution confirming the mayor's declaration of the existence of a local emergency concerning the novel coronavirus disease outbreak and consenting to continue and renew the declaration of the local emergency, providing for special provisions for city council meetings during the declared local emergency. GL.
Thank you. Because of this novel coronavirus outbreak and because of its spread and the circumstances arising in Murray with having it come here, or potentially come here, the mayor declared a local emergency March 13th. That emergency declaration lasts for 30 days. That would be up April 12th, which is a Sunday. The next meeting you'll have would be April 7th, and it looks like this emergency will be around longer than 30 days. And so it's come to you tonight for you to consider, which is within your authority, to continue the local emergency. And because of this emergency, it's also brought to you tonight to consider whether to be able to meet remotely in your city council meetings, as well as having the public participate remotely so that we are not in a close proximity to each other and infecting each other. So that's the resolution before you right now.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you for answering questions previously, explaining the resolution and for bringing the language to us so that we can continue business if we need to protect the council, protect the public, protect our city employees moving forward.
Yeah, I want to second that. You did this on a real short notice, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
You
All
didn't.
right.
You didn't surprise
I
me.
wanna-
You didn't surprise me, JL. I knew.
Rosalba?
I wanted to say I really appreciate that, JL. I know we are kind of running by the seat of our pants in this time, and it's much appreciated.
All right, thank you. I'll bring it back for a motion.
I'll move to approve a resolution confirming the mayor's declaration of the existence of a local emergency concerning the novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19 outbreak, and consenting to continue and renew the declaration of the local emergency, providing for special provisions for city council meetings during the declared local emergency.
I'll second.
Okay, having been moved and seconded, Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. And once again, thank you for that. Next, mayor's report.
Thank you. I don't have any items that are time sensitive that I'll include in the Friday update, as well as of course we will be updating you daily. I do want to just say thank you for your support during these interesting and difficult times. I know we're going to get through them. We always do. So, but I will answer any questions if you have any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the mayor?
Go ahead, Diane.
I'd just like to say thank you for your leadership in this, because I know it's trying times and we really appreciate it.
And I was just going to echo similarly, and to know that we're here also for support. So however we can, be that liaison to our districts to support what the city needs, that we're ready to do that.
All right, thank you for that, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting.